Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is Friday, August 29th, 2025. This is my third attempt at doing this video because there's so much happening at once, and I think what I'm going to do is make it simpler, and then I'm going to talk more about the lunar eclipse on Tuesday, the 2nd of September. But bear in mind that we have a big month ahead, a huge month for many reasons. We will be in eclipse season, and that's one reason in itself. We're seeing planets, again, Saturn, the planet of karma and limitations, karmic lessons, what you need to confront. It's like the judgment card. What do you need to let go of or close in your life? What is not working? What do you need to work harder on? It's a time of really taking inventory in a very practical way. Is entering a very impractical sign. That's the irony. But it enters Pisces on September 1st at 4:06 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will remain in Pisces through February 13th. And that is a big deal because right now it's going to be transiting at the fixed star known as Shiat, and that is a fixed star connected with being lost at sea. It's connected with the chart of the Titanic, but more importantly, it's connected with suicide and self-sabotage. Saturn in Pisces is often connected with problems with addiction and depression and mental health. AA was founded in 1935 with Saturn in Pisces during the height of the Great Depression, another very difficult time. And there are other times I can reference but won't because I want to get to it. But Saturn in Pisces, and it's going to station direct on November 27th at 25 degrees of Pisces, immediately triggering the total lunar eclipse that occurred on September 17th of 2024, and also within a degree of opposing where the total lunar eclipse in Virgo occurred on March 14th of this year, wrapping up things that may have been occurring last September or this past March. But even more importantly, focusing on what you need to let go of. Pisces is a sign of endings. It deals with patterns that you need to release. It deals with subconscious fears. We are segueing to a whole time of new beginnings, but it's interesting that the first eclipse will be in the sign of Pisces on February 7th. It's going to be a total lunar eclipse. The nodes of karma will be very close. The North Node is transiting in Pisces through July of next year. And so this is, again, embracing spirituality, focusing on mental health. Pisces can deal on the higher vibration with dreams, compassion, spirituality, all sorts of, psychic intuition, imagination, manifesting, working with very creative sign. Pisces is so creative, but the lower or more challenging influence of Neptune or Pisces is drugs, alcohol, pharmaceuticals, escapism, deception, confusion, lethargy, victimhood, saying, oh, I can't do it, whatever, but trying hard. Saturn is in its fall position, technically in Aries, although I find it, in people I know, I find Saturn in Pisces to be more difficult, even though Saturn is technically in its fall position in Aries, where it would be considered more challenging. And I think it's because Aries has that cardinal fire that really wants to get things going. But the fact is that with Saturn and Neptune at the world point, it's emphasizing mental health issues, we also have Pluto out of bounds, and Pluto, that means a planet exceeds the sun's declination north or south of the celestial equator. It's beyond 23 degrees and 27 minutes, either north or south, in this case south of the celestial equator. And this amplifies the energy of Pluto. It will be out of bounds through November 23rd of this year, but in the next 10 years, it's going to be out of bounds through about August, September, through the end of the year. And I watched a great video by Pam Gregory where she was referencing another astrologer with whom I'm not familiar yet, but how when it's south of the when Pluto is out of bounds south, it brings the power, which is a key word of Pluto, back to the people. And so this is a good thing, helping us to empower ourselves, fight for ourselves. Pluto in Aquarius is very revolutionary energy, and it's still in a very early degree, and it's part of that magic triangle that we got a glimpse of this, August. Uranus and Pluto are going to be forming a trine next year. That's when they're 120 degrees apart. Very innovative, very good for evolving our consciousness on the collective. That is very good energy and really for learning and connecting with other people. But we just had Uranus form a sextile to Pluto. Oh no, I'm sorry, Neptune form a sextile to Pluto, and that is, or Uranus sextile Neptune. Sorry, the Uranian energy is off the charts right now. And that's raising spiritual energy and merging the cerebral energy of Uranus, which is the planet of genius, with the compassion of Neptune, which is about emotions and spirituality. And so Saturn in Pisces is a big deal. And the fact that we're in eclipse season, that exaggerates a transit. If you have a big transit, like if you're dealing with Pluto square the moon right now this year, or whatever, maybe you've got Saturn transiting in your sign, it's going back and forth over your sun. Well, then that means you've got Saturn in Aries or Pisces right now. But the fact is, it will exaggerate a personal transit, but also the transits we're experiencing. And so Saturn in Pisces, well, again, really dealing with mental health, with building that dream, because Saturn and Neptune have been traveling very closely together the last couple of months. They're meeting up right at the world point, at the Aries point, 0 degrees of Aries, on February 20th of next year. And that is about building a new dream and saying goodbye to a lot of things in that process. The total lunar eclipse in Pisces, that is a huge full moon. Lunar eclipses occur every 6 months, but to have a total lunar eclipse, the nodes of the moon have to be within 8 degrees. In this case, they're about 3 degrees away. And this is a north node eclipse going towards the Pisces energy, which is the final sign of release. Those with health issues that are hanging on by a thread, their bodies are so tired, letting go. Also focusing and checking in very much on mental health issues. Pluto out of bounds. Pluto's the higher octave of Mars. We saw that awful shooting in Minneapolis. And again, a mental health issue that triggered that. But it is just terrible. And we're seeing big things on the world front. And I'll talk more about the eclipse because I said I wanted to talk about the energy. But know that we've got Saturn returning to Pisces. We've got Mercury is going to enter the sign of Virgo on September 2nd at 9:23 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it will be in the sign of Virgo through September 18th, the majority of eclipse season. and it rules the sign of Virgo, so giving us a lot of information. And we've got Mercury will form a quincunx to Saturn that day, and that will occur at early in the morning. And so that will be showing the readjustment in terms of structuring things we're trying to do and learn and accomplish. And it could feel a little bleak, but you got to go with that. There's such emotional energy. A total lunar eclipse in Pisces, Saturn back in Pisces at that final degree, such heavy emotions, a lot of loss, a lot of endings. We've got Saturn going back from the sign of new beginnings to the sign of endings. And eclipses mark major turning points, major beginnings and endings. On September 3rd, Mercury squares Uranus. That can bring news from out of the blue. And it could be disruptive news that occurs at 3:40 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Again, exaggerating the Uranian energy, and that could be very brilliant energy for brainstorming and networking with others. Jupiter trines the north node of Karma that day at 2:36 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that could bring fated connections. And remember, if you're making a big change in your life, it's not the best time to do it during eclipse season if you're planning it, because, it can be so chaotic. But if an opportunity comes in out of the blue, which they often do, because the nodes of fate are involved, and so they step in, then that's something to pay attention to. And with Jupiter trining the north node of Karma, that's saying this is very opportune and very good. So we've got that happening. And, Uranus retrogrades on September 6th at 12:51 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We feel that 5 days before and 5 days after. Really the first 10 days of September, we're feeling strong Uranian energy between the Uranus retrograde, Mercury squaring Uranus. We even have Mars setting off Uranus on I believe on the 2nd of September. So a lot of chaotic energy, but a lot of revelations. Pay attention to the messages. So many messages. If you don't dream, then are they coming to you in numbers or memories, or maybe something that comes, I don't know, messages come in so many forms, animals, birds, whatever it is, music, songs are big messages of people you love, something they used to love that comes on the radio or whatever. But this is a huge time. You're going to feel like you want to do so much in a short period of time. You could feel heightened anxiety. You could feel depression with this big full moon eclipse in Pisces. Again, with Saturn at that fixed star of Shiat, pay attention and check in with people if you're struggling, but also pay attention to those that struggle with depression. This is real. And there was that other news story about a woman. I only read briefly because, again, the energy is all over the place. You've got a mutable eclipse where the energy can feel very scattered. Uranus can have you driving in 5 lanes at once mentally. But there was a woman, I guess that was a TikTok influencer, that was talking about her husband's struggle with cancer and how she was dealing with mental health, and she had 2 children, and unfortunately she killed her husband and the children and committed suicide, and was obviously struggling with mental health issues. And this is a tough time. So check in, hang in there, journal what's happening. Virgo season. Pay attention on what you can improve. Virgo is habits and health. Again, people might be getting big announcements about their health. I know somebody who had a friend that got an unfortunate health announcement. This is a time to take care of yourself, go back to the gym, get back to eating better. If you haven't been, take your supplements, go to the doctor, and take care and get rest. And I will talk to you soon.